Hey guys, this video is for e-commerce managers and those working in-house for brands who have been tasked with improving the digital marketing performance. So if that's you, listen up, as in this video, I'm gonna walk you through exactly how to plan an e-commerce digital marketing growth strategy. It's gonna give you a blueprint and a framework which you can use within your brand. Because I've been helping ambitious e-commerce brands to scale online using digital marketing since 2007. And I've always approached strategy, planning, and everything with a very commercial mindset. And in this video, I've got 11 practical steps for you and lots to cover. So let's get into it. So when thinking about digital marketing, lots of marketers want to jump straight into the SEO or the PPC and start talking about what can be done. And we have to kind of stop in our tracks, and we have to encourage you to zoom out a little bit. And first of all, tell us about the overall business goals. And herein is the first key point to be mindful of when planning a digital marketing strategy. Don't put the cart before the horse, effectively. Don't try and figure out what the SEO or the PPC strategy or activity should be before you're clear on what the business is ultimately trying to achieve. And we see this happen all the time. So step number one should always be to understand your business. This may sound obvious because you know the business, you know the brand you work for, right? But do you really? And if so, do you have it written down and documented properly? Because that's key. And some of the things we get businesses to think about and share with us are things like, what is their business background and history? You know, what's the USP of the brand you're working for? What is the website history? Have there been any big changes, drops in traffic, visibility, spammy tactics used in the past, any rebrands, website iterations that have impacted performance either positively or negatively? Who's the market leader in your space? Do they know, and do you know why? What do you want to be known as and recognized for by your customers? Are there any seasons or periods that are particularly important to the business? We have businesses complete a short survey where they answer these questions, and it really helps to paint a picture of where the brand is today. So I would definitely encourage you to do the same if you haven't already. It doesn't take long, but it's definitely worth doing, because once you know where you've been and what has got you to where you are today, it's so much easier, and then you can start to look to the future, and that leads us into step two. Set clear business goals. Again, it seems incredibly obvious, but so many brands aren't entirely clear on this. From an agency perspective, it can be like getting blood out of a stone at times, getting the numbers from a client. So if you're in-house, even if you're agency side watching this, or if you own or run the business, make sure that you're super clear on the overall business goals, so that we can overlay the digital marketing strategy on top of that. And all too often, we see this the wrong way around. Even with 7-8 figure turnover e-commerce brands, most brands, they know their turnover, they know their net profit. But where it falls down or tends to get a bit more murky is when you get into the nitty gritty and you start looking at things like conversion rates, per channel, average online sales and sales value per month per channel, the percentage of sales per channel, the marketing spend ratio per channel. These are the things that they take a little bit more digging to find out, but it's vital that you understand these numbers, because only then can you make better marketing decisions moving forward. It can be difficult to establish the exact numbers if we have so many moving parts. If you're running paid media campaigns, as most e-commerce brands are, you'll have Google ads reporting on revenue. You'll also have Facebook ads reporting revenue figures. And these two rarely perfectly align with the Google Analytics e-commerce numbers. And then you have the numbers in your own CRM, where you then have to overlay the LTV, so the lifetime value, which is, then you look at your repeating customers, your new versus returning customers, you split this by channel. It can get pretty intense, overwhelming, and even the most seasoned marketing professionals, it takes a minute. But it's worth taking the time to get it straight in your head. And it's why brands work with agencies such as ourselves, as we can kind of bring a level of clarity that is sometimes difficult, but it's very doable if you just take the time. So, look, the key here is ultimately to map out some clear business goals. You may already have them. The more accurately you can describe what success looks like for the brand and in what timeline, it will just help your team, your agency with what you're working towards. You want to be able to say, today we are turning X, our profit margin is Y, and our primary marketing channels are X, Y, and Z, with this proportion of sales attributed to each. In a year from now, we want to see 15% annual growth. We need this to come from X or Y marketing channel, and we have a budget of whatever it might be, to make that happen. If we're that specific, it makes it so much easier for whoever is working on your account to sort of run the sums and say confidently, yep, that's doable, or nope, that's unrealistic, and here's why, which serves as a conversation starter. So, I could create a whole video, maybe I should, let me know in the comments, about how to approach clearly setting objectives that align to the digital marketing activity, business objectives, but you get the gist. What you don't want to do is just say, we want to grow our e-commerce sales. That rarely ends in success. So you've got to set clear goals. And when you're talking to brands, if they cannot articulate, when we're talking to brands, if they cannot articulate, we tell them to either go away and work out and then come back to us, or we work with them in more of a consultative way and we help them to figure it out. Now, step 3, review your data. Once you have a solid grasp on the business numbers and the plans for the future, you need to overlay that with what the data is telling you. So you get a clear picture of where your brand is and what is and isn't working. Tools like Google Analytics, Google Search Console, they're perfect for this. Every e-commerce brand will have these set up. I'm sure you do too, and you should be using them. These tools, they can tell you 101 things, but with our commercial mindset, we don't need to be a technical wizard, so don't worry. You just need to be able to extract the key information you need to make marketing decisions. So we want to know things like, where is the traffic coming from? How has that traffic changed over time? So zoom out a little bit, get a couple of years perspective. What traffic channels perform the best in terms of sales and revenue? Which channels are you most reliant on? Which traffic channels are converting the best for the business? Which channels are producing the best quality users? Look at things like bounce rates, good time on site, pages visited, engagement. Look at things like what valuable goals, are you tracking, and should you be tracking anything else? With the rollout of GA4, Google Analytics has basically gone from being a tool for marketers to now a tool really for analysts. It's definitely a steeper learning curve, but don't let that put you off. Just find the key bits of information you need. Disregard the rest. Now, as good as Google Analytics is at giving us the traffic and the revenue numbers, let's not forget about Google Search Console, as this tool is invaluable. It gives us all the technical data and the insights that we need to make more informed decisions. Things like, which keywords are you currently getting clicks for? How much is brand versus non-brand? What is the average position for the most important keywords for your business? Which pages are receiving the most clicks and the most impressions? Are the pages receiving the most clicks and impressions relevant to the wider business strategy? If so, which ones do you want to focus on? And if not, which part of the business are they relevant to? What percentage of the traffic is, as I say, branded versus product specific? Really good to know. Is the business getting clicks for keywords that you actually want to be found for or not? These are all the questions that just help you paint a picture that allows us to understand how your business, how the brand is performing, what's working, and where the opportunities are. So hopefully by now you're seeing that by combining commercial thinking and a business head with the data, we're able to build a bit of a digital marketing growth strategy, or start to build it, that is so much more aligned to our actual brand goals. It's pretty cool, right? While you're here, I thought I'd remind you there are lots of ways you can keep up to date and learn from Evergreen. Be sure to subscribe to our videos on YouTube, as we have more going up all the time. And if you haven't already, do check out the e-commerce hub on our website. It's jam-packed with fantastic digital marketing guides, resources that can help you scale your e-commerce brand. Oh, and lastly, if you haven't joined our Evergreen newsletter, make sure you do, as every week I personally send you an email with digital marketing tips and tricks, as well as exclusive insights into what we're up to here at Evergreen. I'll include all the links to these in the description of this video. Now, let's get back to the YouTube video. Let's keep going. Now, step 4 of our 11-step process is to review the competition. So one of the best ways to get ideas and inspiration is to look at what the competition are doing. There are 101 tools out there to help you do this. A couple of our favorites here at Evergreen are Ahrefs and SEMrush. Some of the questions that we ask ourselves when we're analyzing the competitors for any brand that we work with are things like, how does the business compare to the competition in terms of traffic, visibility, keyword rankings, brand authority? How is the competition achieving those results? These tools can tell you all this stuff. And are there any specific pages, areas, promotional campaigns, or content that is performing particularly well for X competitor? You need to know this. What types of content are they producing, and with what frequency? What types of promotional campaigns are they getting? And where is that coming from? Technically, how's their website performing? You don't need to go super granular with this stuff, as we just want to focus, we want the focus to be on obviously our own website, but you'll almost certainly be able to glean a few little nuggets by taking the time to look at the competition. Next up, it's always good to define what channels are being used. Knowing who is doing what is really useful just for a brand to know. You need to know this. So, you'll likely have certain competitors who are dominating the paid results. Others are maybe smashing the social media side of things. And those who just seem to always outrank you and are always number one through their own SEO. The key is to know who is doing what so you can investigate how they're doing it, how proactive your competitors are being with their SEO. Are their websites well optimized? Are they technically sound? Are they easy to use, to navigate? Can you find what you're looking for when you're on their sites? Who's dominating the organic search results for those commercial, those buying terms that you want to rank for? How active are your competitors being when it comes to their content marketing? Are your competitors proactively doing paid marketing? If so, what type? Is it Google ads, social media ads, display, retargeting? You'll know if they're running retargeting campaigns by just going on their website and then seeing, do their ads chase you around the internet? Do you keep seeing them pop up? If so, they're going to be running those. Are your competitors proactively using social media? If so, is it organic or are they doing paid advertising? Are they regularly featured in the press? Are there any recurring themes for that coverage if they are? There's lots to think about. Now, step 6 is all about establishing the resource available. At the very outset, when we talk to a brand, we always ask, what resource have we got to play with so we can plan accordingly? And you're going to need to do the same. So who is going to be in charge of overseeing the overall digital marketing strategy from the business perspective? Is that yourself? Is it someone else? Who is going to sign off and approve key updates, changes, the key tasks that need to be done? How much time do you really need to action those updates and make those things happen? It's almost always more than you think. So, do you need resource to write the content? Do you have the resource to produce the creative assets that you're going to need? And on that, don't underestimate the importance of visually making your content and your website as impressive as possible. Every brand can write and produce content with ease, especially with the rise of AI and everything that's going on there. It's becoming more mainstream. And so the brands that have a really strong personality, a tone of voice, a creative identity, they're increasingly going to stand out. Do you have the resource to make technical revisions to your website? Be that in-house or via a dev partner, you're likely going to want them on a retainer to support you. Definitely recommend that. Some of the brands that we work with have entire marketing teams and we just support from a strategic and a technical perspective, whereas others, they rely more heavily on us to produce much of their actual content, creative. So it all depends on your setup, but it is really important to think about that and map out what that's going to look like so you get a really good understanding of what is going to be realistic for your brand. Now, alongside establishing the resource, you're going to need to determine the budget available. It's really important to do this early on. So we're not shy about asking the money question early on or having that conversation when we talk to brands. And I'd encourage you to do it with your colleagues so that you can really get a good sense of what marketing budget are you going to have available? What's been the budget over the past couple of years? What kind of return has that investment yielded? What percentage of turnover does this equate to? What is the marketing budget for the next 12 to 24 months? Again, what percentage of turnover would that equate to, that marketing budget? And what level of return is expected on that level of investment? Is it realistic? These are the kind of commercial questions they're key to ask and discuss when planning that digital marketing strategy. It's also really good to think about and plan what budget you're going to need internally, versus what the brand is going to rely on maybe from an external resources such as agency or freelancers. What are you going to do in-house? What are you going to send out the door? Make sure these figures are factoring in alongside the business trajectory. So moving on, and step 8 is building a 12-month plan. Taking everything gathered so far from this process, you now want to put it into an initial 12-month plan that acts as a bit of a blueprint and focuses the mind on clear brand goals. It's rare that a brand will achieve everything they want to in their first 12 months. So you should think of it as a bit of a stepping stone to where you ultimately want to be. And it's important to get those first 12 months right and use the time wisely, use the budget wisely, as you're going to be building a foundation on which you're going to grow. And this is your opportunity to really get your ducks in a row. So we've found the best way to approach this is to break that 12-month plan into quarterly sprints and write them down. Things like you should be thinking about where do you want to be in 12 months? The answer to this question is going to help you determine what you'll need to achieve in the next few months. So what is the focus and priorities for the next 3 months? What do we need to have achieved in the next 6 months? For our clients, we build 6-month strategies that are split into 2 quarterly sprints with clear deliverables and KPIs. This structure keeps everyone to task and ensures that every quarter we're moving a brand further towards their goals. It's simple, but super effective. Now, step 9 is where we go deeper into the detail. So we want to define a 6-month roadmap. With a 12-month plan clear in our head, we now want to go more granular and focus particularly on the next few months. What are the biggest priorities for our brand over the next 6 months? We want to write out those key tasks. However it works best for you. Some of our team are very visual, so they like to map them out. Others like to use Kanban boards. Some prefer to use sticky notes, whereas I personally love a spreadsheet. It doesn't really matter. Just be mindful of things like who is going to do what? How long is it going to take? What support is going to be needed? So how will it be measured to ensure successful completion of each task? And crucially, what could go wrong? Where are the potential delays and issues as best as you can try and identify, just so you can try and prevent these. Things will inevitably not go to plan. Things will get delayed. They'll need to be changed at the last minute. But at least if you have a plan with clear deliverables, you can move stuff around and you'll be able to adjust things more easily. So it's very easy to be a busy fool when doing a lot of stuff and never actually getting anything done. Right, we're getting there now. The penultimate step is in planning our e-commerce digital marketing growth strategy is to set up tracking. Now this is a huge topic in its own right, and I'm not even going to try and get fully into the detail in this video, but it is vital that you are tracking all the valuable interactions with your brand. The obvious stuff, sales, downloads, signups, but also consider things like page views for add to cart, begin checkout, even dwell time on key service pages, returning visitors. All of those are warm interactions that may lead to customers in the future. And so you want to be capturing and retargeting those folks as best as possible. And there's so many ways we can do that if we have the data. Quick tip for those running Google ads, as I see this mistake all the time. Make sure you only have the relevant and correct goals set up as primary goals so that you're not feeding the algorithm the wrong conversion data. This happens a lot. Now, setting up tracking, ensuring it's correctly reporting the data, it's just so vital to make sure you take the time, get this right, and involve the devs. As almost every brand we start working with, we find they haven't got all of their ducks in a row, and we have to spend time overhauling their conversions. We make sure we're not double tracking things, that we're not misleading the systems with the wrong conversion data, or we're not measuring business performance against the goals that ultimately do drive commercial value for the brand. It's a huge subject in its own right, this. So I just want to kind of put it on your agenda, put it on your radar. So it's part of the thought process you go through, and you can just ask the question as part of the planning. So the final step is to track, measure, and report. Now, the geeks among you will love this, as it's where you get to see how all that hard work is paying off. It's the exciting bit. For our clients, we have different reports depending on what the person we're reporting to wants to see. So long as the detail is accurate, then you need to ensure that you're reporting in a way that is useful and informative to the person you're accountable to. So some questions to have a think about, things like how much data do they actually want to see? Do they want the granular performance data, or do they just want a top line on those sort of headline numbers? Do they want the data summarized in a report, or would they rather access to the tools so they can go and scrutinize the data for themselves? What frequency do they want to review the data? Weekly, monthly, who will be reporting on those key performance metrics, things like that. So look, there you have it. There's 11 simple steps to follow that will guide you through the process of establishing a digital growth strategy. Having worked through this process, you will now know how your brand is performing today. You will be clear on your commercial objectives for the future. You will understand what your data is telling you, the most important bits. You will know how to compare to the competition, how your brand compares to the competition. You'll know where you need to focus your efforts, which channels are the best ones, the most lucrative ones. You will now know what resource is going to be needed to meet those goals. You're going to know the budget that you are going to need to have. You will have a clear 12-month plan and strategy, as well as a detailed 6-month kind of roadmap with clear objectives. You're also going to know what success crucially looks like in terms of goals. You'll have visibility on and be tracking against those all-important commercial goals. So look, I hope this is useful. I created this for e-commerce managers, brand managers, as I know sometimes, we all need a little help, and seeing the wood for the trees when we're in the details every single day, it's hard to build a clear plan and strategy. So I really hope this helps in even just a tiny way. If you do have any questions, let me know in the comments and I'll do my best to help. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll keep these videos coming and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Take care.